ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਐਂਡ ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ CJ ਸਿੱਧੂ ਸ਼ੋ। ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਰੂਬਰੂ ਹੋਈਦਾ ਐਵਰੀ ਥਰਸਡੇ ਤੇ ਥੋੜੀ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਾਈ ਦੀ ਹੈ ਮੋਸਟਲੀ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਸ਼ੀਅਨਸ, ਪਰ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਐਕਟਿਵਿਸਟ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਮੈਡੀਕਲ ਸਿਚੁਏਸ਼ਨ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਡਾਕਟਰਸ ਐਂਡ ਡਿਪੈਂਡਿੰਗ ਔਨ ਵਟਸ ਗੋਇੰਗ ਔਨ ਐਂਡ ਸੋ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਮੁਤਾਬਿਕ ਫਿਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸੱਦੀਦਾ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫਸਟ ਹੈਂਡ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਸਕੋ, because they specialize in their own fields and they give a good first hand information. ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਗੈਸਟ ਹੈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਸੱਦਦਾ ਹਾਂ। ਸੋ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਮੈਂ very world view of what is happening this week in the world. So we'll start with the obviously President Trump. ਸੋ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਕਹਿਤਾ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਬੰਬਾਰਡਮੈਂਟ ਕਰ ਦੇਣੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਡਿਸਟਰੋਏ ਕਰ ਦੇਣਾ ਹੈ ਇਰਾਨ ਨੂੰ, and then he goes no we will stop firing and there is a negotiation going on and maybe it will be done by this weekend. So ਦੇਖਣ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਿਆ everybody want a peace, nobody want that, but it's an unpredictable president. ਉਹ ਇੱਕ ਸਟੇਟਮੈਂਟ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ, next day another statement, and Iran is not bowing down or they want to make a deal that is good for them as well. So ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮੇਨ ਹੈਗਾ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਨੈਤਨਯਾਹੂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇਜ਼ਰਾਈਲ ਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਟਾਪ ਕਰਨੀ ਪੈਣੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਫਾਈਟਿੰਗ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਇਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈਗਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਇਰਾਨ ਲਈ ਕਿ ਦੇ ਵਿਲ ਸਟਾਪ that fighting, and then because everybody want that Strait of Hormuz to be open and the ships can go through, because ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਵਰਲਡ ਵਾਈਡ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੈਸ ਦੀ ਸਿਚੁਏਸ਼ਨ ਬਣੀ ਹੈ, ਇੰਨੀ ਮਹਿੰਗੀ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ ਗੈਸ। ਐਂਡ ਦੈਨ ਲਾਸਟ ਟਾਈਮ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਨਾਓ ਕੰਪਲੇਨ ਟੂ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਟਰੰਪ ਦੈਟ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਸ਼ਿਪ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਸੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੰਬਾਰਡਮੈਂਟ ਕਰਕੇ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ 3 ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਬੰਦਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਡੈਥ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਹੈ। ਸੋ it's kind of sad what's happening in that area. ਸੋ ਇਹ ਦੇਖਣ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲੂਗਾ। ਟਰੰਪ ਦਾ ਹੁਣ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਆ ਕਿ ਮੇਬੀ ਇਸ ਵੀਕਐਂਡ ਤੱਕ ਉੱਥੇ ਸ਼ਾਂਤੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਊਗੀ। ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਨ ਸਪੋਰਟਸ ਵਰਲਡ FIFA World Cup is right here. It's while we were talking, it's happening. So it's happening in Mexico, USA, in Canada, in Toronto and Vancouver. So ਇਹ ਬੜੀ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ। lot of excitement, lot of ਆਪਾਂ ਇੱਥੇ soccer ਕਹਿ ਦਈਦਾ, they call it football clubs. So that's FIFA World Cup is going on. Another news is not a new news anymore. NHL hired Manny Malhotra, our South Asian descent guy. He will be the head coach of Vancouver Canucks. So that will be very interesting to see. And as you know, Manny played for a number of years as a professional hockey, and he did very well. He played for Canucks as well, and now he will be the bench boy, head boy, running the Vancouver Canucks. ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕਲ ਨਿਊਜ਼ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ Norm Lipinski, police chief of Surrey Police Services, was let go, fired. We will find out what's going on because the board chair was not happy, so he stepped down right away. He was not even there. Another board member stepped down. There's a lot of controversy going on. We will talk about that a little bit because, Linda Ennis, one of the councillor, pointing a finger at Brenda Locke, mayor of Surrey, because she always wanted RCMP to stay here. But ਜਦੋਂ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ done ਹੋ ਗਿਆ, even she congratulated Lipinski for his good job. But on the other side, Linda Ennis, councillor, also running for a mayor of Surrey, she said that it's maybe because of Brenda Locke that all this happened. But the facts are slowly coming. It will be very interesting to see. Unfortunately, there is 2 police officers are killed last week as we talk in Ontario. And so police department, these kind of things, the shootings, the crime, ਇਹਦੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ I couldn't find a better person to come on my show. Mr. Kash will be my guest today. Kash, as you know, right now sitting councillor for Richmond City Council, and ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਹ MLA ਰਹੇ ਹੈ, riding of Vancouver Fraserview from 2009 to 2013, and during that period, Campbell's time, Gordon Campbell's time, he From 2009 to 10, he was the Minister of Public Safety and Solicitor General. So, you know, and before that, he served on the Vancouver Police Department, VPD, and then he also served as a chief of West Vancouver Police Department from 2007 to 2009. He was the first Indo-Canadian police chief in Canada. So there's a lot of accomplishments and a lot of knowledge. And please join me welcoming Mr. Kash. Welcome to CJ Sidhu Show.
A pleasure, Mr. Sidhu.
So let's start with the, you're in a police department, a lot of knowledge. Talking about Norman Lipinski, I had a chance to talk to Wally Opal yesterday. He was busy, and so he said, CJ, I said, well, before you come to my show, tell me what you think about this. He said, very unfortunate, and he was a good police officer. He said, I had a chance to work with him on some issues, and he had a stellar career, and the way it let go, we don't know the exact numbers yet, ਪਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਟੈਕਸ ਪੇਅਰਸ ਹੈ hook with 800 to 900,000 severance package. So what is your take on that?
Well, let me tell you, the whole situation regarding transitioning from the RCMP to the Independent Municipal Surrey Police Service has been controversial from day one. When the then Mayor Doug McCallum wanted to transition away from the RCMP, it was controversial. When Brenda Locke came in as the mayor wanting to go back to the RCMP, it was controversial. There were legal proceedings that took place with respect to what was going on. At one point, they dismissed the entire board and had the administrator in place of the board. So they brought the board back in, and the controversy has never stopped. Over the last 6 years, it has never stopped. And I can tell you, it is not going to stop. Yes, they're going to have to settle the compensation with Mr. Lipinski. They did it in a very unfortunate way with respect to what was going on, but you knew something was up because in March of this year, they replaced 5 board members that were provincial appointees by the province of British Columbia under David Eby's government. You knew when, in fact, you replaced 5 at the same time, something was up. And something did occur where Mr. Lipinski was let go soon after. For example, last year, they just signed his contract and gave him an extension of 3 years to the contract. And so the one board was fine with Mr. Lipinski. Yes, he had a lot of issues to deal with in Surrey. Surrey, there's a lot of crime issues, whether it's extortion, gang violence, other delinquencies. He had to deal with it. At the same time, he had all that political turmoil from the provincial government, the municipal government, and even the federal government to a certain extent. It was not an easy fix, and we're seeing the result of that. What I think is going to be important is what they're looking for to go forward, because the controversies and how they went about this is still there. That has not gone away, and the crime is still here in Surrey.
So ਮੇਰੀ ਗੱਲ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਸੀ ਕੈਸ਼ ਹੀ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕਮੈਂਟਸ ਨੂੰ ਆਮ ਨਾਟ ਟਰਾਂਸਲੇਟਿੰਗ ਬਟ ਆਈ ਵਿਲ ਸਮਰਾਈਜ਼ ਇਟ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਕਿ ਕੰਟਰੋਵਰਸੀ ਇਹ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਸੀਗੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਲਾਸਟ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਿੰਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ, because Brenda Locke was saying the RCMP should stay. ਦੂਜੇ ਪਾਸੇ Doug McCallum wanted the Surrey Police Services. So ਉਹ ਕੰਟਰੋਵਰਸੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਉਹ ਚਲਦੀ ਨੂੰ 6 ਸਾਲ ਹੋ ਗਏ। ਐਂਡ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਹੀਥ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਟਸ ਨਾਟ ਐਂਡਿੰਗ ਐਨੀ ਸੂਨ। ਉਹ ਹਲੇ ਵੀ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਨੋਰਮਨ ਲਿਪਿੰਸਕੀ ਨੂੰ ਹੁਣ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ ਫਾਇਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਲੈਟ ਹਿਮ ਗੋ ਵਾਟ ਐਵਰ ਦਾ ਵਰਡ ਦੇ ਵਾਂਟ ਟੂ ਯੂਜ਼, ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਕੰਟਰੋਵਰਸੀ ਹਲੇ ਖਤਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਈ। ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਮੇਰਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਵਾਲੀ ਓਪਲ ਇਜ਼ ਵੈਰੀ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸਡ ਫਾਰਮਰ ਜੱਜ, ਫਾਰਮਰ ਅਟੋਰਨੀ ਜਨਰਲ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਮੇਰੀ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਯੈਸਟਰਡੇ ਹੋਈ ਸੀ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਇਹੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਆ ਕਿ ਸੀਰੀ ਆਈ ਕੈਂਟ ਕਮ ਔਨ ਯੂਰ ਸ਼ੋ ਬਿਕਾਜ਼ ਆਈ ਐਮ ਗੋਇੰਗ ਟੂ ਆਈਲੈਂਡ, ਬਟ that was his comments, that he was a very accomplished police officer. And so it will be, and Mr. He knows because he been there as well. So ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਕੰਟਰੋਵਰਸੀ ਹਲੇ ਡਾਈ ਡਾਊਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣੀ। ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਆ ਕਿ ਨੈਕਸਟ ਸਿਟੀ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਿਵਿਕ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਇਹਦਾ ਮੁੱਦਾ ਬਣ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ। So Mr. Heath, as a former police officer, what do you think of Mr. Lipinski? Do you know about him, his career? Because he was a chief in Edmonton, Then he was in a Delta police force. I used to live in Delta. He did a great job. And then he moved to SPS. So ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਹੀਦ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਕਿ ਤਿੰਨ ਆਪਣੇ ਇਹਦਾ ਲਾਸਟ ਈਅਰ ਹੀ ਇਹਦਾ ਕੰਟਰੈਕਟ ਰਿਨਿਊ ਕੀਤਾ 3 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਲਈ। ਸੋ 3 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਲਈ ਜਦੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਰਿਨਿਊ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ, all of a sudden what happened? So let's hear from Mr. Heath.
So I met Norm when he was the deputy chief in Edmonton. And then Edmonton went through a transition, and he actually went to the RCMP, and he was an assistant commissioner in the RCMP in the Lower Mainland. And then he went to the Delta Police as a deputy chief, and then to Surrey Police Service as their first chief. So he's well-rounded, well-experienced. He also has a law degree, so he's, academically, he has the skill set to deal with it. But I got to tell you, and I've studied police leadership in my studies at the university, and I've studied police chiefs from all over North America and their best before date, what went wrong, why the controversies around this. And I can tell you, even if you had probably one of the most brilliant police leaders in all of the world, Bill Bratton, who I know very well from when he was in New York and then LA, studied him, met with him, talked to him, he would even have difficulty because of the political rhetoric around this, the environment around this. So no matter how qualified Norm Lipinski was, all of these controversies are going to overwhelm anyone. No matter how good of a staff Mr. Lipinski would have put under him, he was still going to have all these controversies. And this is my point is, police need to be apolitical. The political people need to stay out of policing. Let the police do their job. Let them get out there and create safer communities for all of us. You political policymakers and political masters, stay the hell away from this. Let the police do their job.
So, Mr. Heath ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਆ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲਿਪਿੰਸਕੀ ਬਾਰੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਕੀ ਖਿਆਲ ਹੈ। ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੀ ਵਾਸ ਗੁੱਡ, ਗ੍ਰੇਟ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਆਫੀਸਰ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਏ ਹੈ ਐਡਮਿੰਟਨ ਤੋਂ ਸਰਵਡ ਐਜ਼ ਅਸਿਸਟੈਂਟ ਕਮਿਸ਼ਨਰ ਵਿਦ RCMP, ਉਦੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਡਿਪਟੀ ਚੀਫ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਆਫੀਸਰ ਇਨ ਡੈਲਟਾ। ਉਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਜਾਣਦਾ, ਆਈ ਯੂਜ਼ ਟੂ ਲਿਵ ਇਨ ਡੈਲਟਾ ਐਟ ਦੈਟ ਟਾਈਮ, and I had a chance to meet him, and I met him a number of times as a Surrey Police Services chief. Very polite, very good, updated media all the time. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਸੀ। So he said a stellar career, Kash ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਆ। So ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਵਜੂਦ ਜਿਸ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਟਰਾਂਸਪਾਇਰ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਆ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੀ ਹੈਪਨ ਹੋਇਆ, that was not a proper, and I like his comments, ਬਈ ਜਿਹੜੇ politicians ਹੈ, stay away from the police, let them do the job. ਇਹਨੇ ਬੜੇ strongly ਕਿਹਾ because he was on both sides of the fence. He was a police officer and he also a politician. So ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਕਿ politician ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਤੁਸੀਂ direction ਦੇ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ, ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ, whatever, but let them do their job day to day ਜਿਹੜੀ activity ਹੈ for ਜਿਹੜੀ public safety ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ main ਕੰਮ ਹੈਗਾ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨ ਦਿਓ. So what do we see how that will be, this saga will end and they bring it back the respect to the Surrey police force, because there is a lot of controversy, because it's, like you said, it's not died down. They don't have enough police officer to serve the whole Surrey. Transition is not complete, and there a bit of a always a issue between Surrey Police Services and RCMP, who will do what. And whenever Mr. Heath, I talked to them, they said, well, we have no conflict, we are here to serve the public safety. ਪਰ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਸੁਣਨ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ because there is some bad blood.
So the men and women that are out there each and every shift will carry on in the professionalism that they have, whether they're wearing the brown uniform of the RCMP or the blue uniform of the Surrey Police Service. The community has to realize when they call 911, they'll get there. However, this is what's happening now when I talk to the men and women that are out there 24/7, is their morale is starting to come down because of all this controversy at the upper level, all this controversy with respect to the leadership, all this controversy with the governance of the police board. And at the same time, the citizens are getting fed up too. And when that comes together, now the police start to lose their credibility. And that's my fear right now with all the chaos surrounding this. And nobody's taking any leadership to organize that chaos so the men and women can get out there each and every shift and serve the people. The credibility of the police in Surrey is at extreme risk right now. And I don't see a path forward from someone that has the vision to fix it.
ਸੋ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੈ ਐਂਡ ਵੈਰੀ ਵੈਲ ਸੈਡ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮੋਰਲ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਨਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲੀਡਰਸ਼ਿਪ ਨੂੰ ਇਦਾਂ ਚੈਲੰਜ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਸੋ ਦੈਟਸ ਪ੍ਰੀਟੀ ਲੋ ਐਂਡ ਆਈ ਸੀ ਦੈਟ ਆਈ ਨੋ ਲੋਟ ਆਫ Surrey police officers, they are good friends, I talk to them, I see them. ਸੋ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਮੋਰਲ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਓਬਵੀਅਸਲੀ ਕਾਫੀ ਲੋ ਆ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਲੀਡਰਸ਼ਿਪ ਵੈਕਿਊਮ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ what do you look up to them? ਸੇਮ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਹੀਡ ਸੈਡ ਦੈਟ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਬਾਕੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕ੍ਰੈਡੀਬਿਲਿਟੀ ਹੈ ਹੁਣ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹਦੀ ਕ੍ਰੈਡੀਬਿਲਿਟੀ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਕਰਦੇ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਤਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਐਕਸਟੋਰਸ਼ਨ ਤਾਬੇ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਨਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਗੈਂਗ ਵਾਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਠੀਕ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਲਾਈਕ ਵਾਟਸ ਗੋਇੰਗ ਔਨ ਐਂਡ ਔਨ ਟਾਪ ਆਫ ਦੈਟ Mr. Heed, when this happened, that is not helpful.
No, like I said, you've got so many issues. Like Surrey is a growing metropolitan area. We know that. What happens when you have young families coming here and all that, when you have a specific age group coming here and all that, you're going to have these crime issues that you really need to get in front of. But when you spend all your time on the controversial things that are occurring, you're not really going to have the focus that's needed. So when you don't have the leadership that's going to motivate their young people to get out there and deal with the gang members, get in the face of these gang members, stop them from killing people in Surrey, get in front of these people that are causing extreme violence as far as extortions go, get in front of people that are committing property crimes in Surrey, get out there and stop the people that are causing havoc on our streets because of the driving patterns that they have. That's what you want. You want a police agency where the members are motivated to go out there and make a difference. And that's the problem right now. So that's all part of it. You know, a growing metropolis like Surrey.
Growing pains, they call it.
It is, but it's, you know, I've studied in criminological theory, and that's what happens when you have this. And Surrey is growing. It's becoming, it will become larger than Vancouver as far as population goes. So those issues are there. But when you've got a dysfunctional system in place around public safety, it's very concerning.
ਸੋ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਆ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅਸਲੀ ਕੰਸਰਨ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਸੇਫਟੀ ਦਾ ਵਰਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਰੰਗ ਦੀ ਪਾਈ ਹੋਵੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਆਰਸੀਓ ਸਰੀ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਸਰਵਿਸਿਜ਼ ਪਰ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਹੀਡ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਕਿ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਫਿਕਸ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਕਾਫੀ ਟਾਈਮ ਲੱਗਣਾ ਹੈ ਹਾਊ ਦੇ ਡੂ ਦੈਟ ਦੇਰ ਹੈਵ ਟੂ ਬੀ ਅ ਵਿਲ ਟੂ ਮੇਕ ਅ ਚੇਂਜ ਐਂਡ ਮੇਕ ਅ ਪੋਜ਼ੀਟਿਵ ਚੇਂਜ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਆ ਉਹ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਨਾਟ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੇ ਬਟ ਵੱਧ ਰਹੇ ਉਹ ਫਿਕਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਇੱਧਰੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਦਾ ਮੋਰਲ ਡਾਊਨ ਹੈ ਉੱਧਰੋਂ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਕਲ ਗੇਮ ਖੇਡੇ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ ਸੋ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਮ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਸਫਰ ਕਰਦੀ ਹੈ ਐਂਡ ਹੀ ਸੈਡ ਦੈਟ ਅਬਾਊਟ ਦਾ ਕ੍ਰੈਡੀਬਿਲਿਟੀ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਉਹ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਦੀ ਕ੍ਰੈਡੀਬਿਲਿਟੀ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਕਾਫੀ ਸ਼ਾਰਟ ਹੋਈ ਵੀ ਹੈ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਟਰੀਟ 'ਤੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਸੋ ਇਟਸ ਫਸਟ ਆਫ ਆਲ ਇਟਸ ਅ ਨਿਊ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਫੋਰਸ ਦੇ ਜਸਟ ਬਿਲਡਿੰਗ ਦੇਅਰ ਸਟੈਪਸ ਐਂਡ ਇਨਰੋਡਸ ਇਨ ਦ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀਜ਼. And at the same time, when the controversy happens, when people question that was the right choice or will they do a good job or not, what are your take?
Well, let me tell you, the politicians want them to question that because then it gives them some control. And that's a sad part of this. We know and you mentioned earlier, there's limited resources in Surrey right now. We've got a municipal government that's not giving them the budget or resources in order for them to effectively police Surrey. If you look back to the Solicitor General, she is mute on this subject matter. And that's problematic because under the Police Act, under Section 2, it says specifically that she, the Solicitor General or the Minister, whoever that is, has to make sure there is an adequate and sustainable level of policing throughout British Columbia. I don't think we've hit that point in Surrey now. There's not enough funding, there's not enough resources, there's all this controversy, they need, you know, specialized units, they need all of that. Someone wants it to fail. I don't think the people in Surrey want it to fail, but I can tell you, there are politicians out there that want it to fail.
ਸੋ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਹੀਦ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਆ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਰਿਸੋਰਸਿਸ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਪਤਾ ਵੀ ਰਿਸੋਰਸਿਸ ਦੇਰ ਇਜ਼ ਲਿਮਿਟਡ ਰਿਸੋਰਸਿਸ ਸਰੀ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਦੂਜੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸੋਲਿਸਿਟਰ ਜਨਰਲ ਆ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਸੇਫਟੀ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿ ਦੇਈਦਾ ਆ ਉਹ ਇਸ ਮਾਮਲੇ 'ਚ ਕੁਆਇਟ ਹੈ ਯੂ ਨੋ ਐਂਡ ਵੀ ਸੀ ਦੈਟ ਉਹਦਾ ਮੇਨ ਰੋਲ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਟ੍ਰਾਂਜ਼ਿਟ ਡਨ ਸਮੂਥਲੀ ਐਂਡ ਸਿਟੀਜ਼ਨਸ ਆਰ ਟੇਕਨ ਕੇਅਰ ਬਿਕਾਜ਼ ਯੂ ਆਰ ਇਨ ਦੈਟ ਰੋਲ yourself so they have a role to play. Why they're quiet?
Well, it's political. And you know, back to our initial conversation, we have politics that are involved in public safety, and politicians and their political ideology needs to stay out of it. They shouldn't worry about getting reelected. They should just do what they're required to do, what we put them in those positions to do, what we vote them into those positions to do. They have a clear mandate to do. They need to fulfill that mandate instead of determining whether they're going to get political gain or political negativity if they make a certain decision. You got to stay away from that. You've got to be on top of all this all the time and do what's right. You know that ideology, you know that principle because my mother taught me that at a very, very early age. Do what's right, not what's popular.
Yeah. So ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਕਿ again boils down to ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੋਲਿਸਿਟਰ ਜਨਰਲ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਹ ਕਿਉਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਬੋਲ ਰਹੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਵੀ ਇਹ again is political ਮਤਲਬ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਹੈਗੇ they stay in the power regardless but that's not the role, that's not the public's elected them to do. They elected them to do their job to serve the public, not Mr. Heath ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਵੀ ਨੈਕਸਟ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿੱਤਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਐਂਡ ਦੈਟਸ ਵੈਰੀ ਅਨਫੋਰਚੂਨੇਟ ਆਪਾਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਕਲ ਇਨਵਾਇਰਮੈਂਟ 'ਚ ਕੁਰਸੀਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਚਿਮੜ ਕੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਐਂਡ ਦੇ ਡੋਂਟ ਥਿੰਕ ਦ ਪਬਲਿਕ ਇਜ਼ ਸਫਰਿੰਗ ਐਂਡ ਦੈਟਸ pretty sad you know in a lot of ways because you know average person and public suffers, small businesses are suffering. So on this topic Mr. Heath, what do you think is a fix? What is it you will suggest with your experience as a Solicitor General, as a politician, as a policeman, and a community person? What do you think is the fix?
They have to bring in a new police leader who's going to show the leadership. That's not going to be bothered by the political rhetoric out there. That's not going to look to the mayor as their boss, not going to look to the Solicitor General as their boss. They're governed by a board. The board has a certain fulfillment that they require.
And a board have to be independent too, by the way.
They do. They absolutely do. But when you look at the Surrey Police Board, 7 of them are assigned by the provincial government and 2 of them by the city of Surrey, one being an elected official, one being a civilian person that's assigned to the board. So you've got to get in a police leader that's going to, you know, just do what's expected of him to do, not get involved in the politics side of it, deal with all of these crime and disorder issues that the people in Surrey are facing. Get out there to be the public face of the police department. Don't let these politicians try and tell you what to do. If we get to that point and the politicians understand what their role is, the board understands what their role is, and the chief is one that's not going to worry about all of those other things that are above him and just do what's required to be done here in Surrey. That's the only way, Mr. Sidhu, that they are going to fix this chaotic problem.
So ਮੈਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਇਹਦਾ ਹੁਣ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਤਾਂ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਇਹਦਾ ਫਿਕਸ ਕੀ ਹੈਗਾ ਸੋ ਵੈਰੀ ਕਲੀਅਰਲੀ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਹੀਡ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਆ ਕਿ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਚੀਫ ਸਿਲੈਕਟ ਕਰਨ and obviously have to be a good profile police officer and mostly they are. So and then ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿ political interference ਤੋਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪਾਸੇ ਰੱਖਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਆ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ neither mayor or anybody else, Solicitor General, nobody interferes in day-to-day activities of that police officer. ਉਹ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਹੈ and obviously they have to proper funding have to provide them
Absolutely.
to run their show.
And resource it. And
resource
you know, the Police Act says you must do that.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised that nobody's really paid attention to Section 2 of the Police Act that says it has to be there. And the minister has to ensure that it is there. One controversial item, you'll recall from a few years ago, where the police board, the city of Vancouver wanted to cut the police budget by $5 million in Vancouver. And they went to the Solicitor General and complained, saying no, because the level of service will decrease if it's cut. And the police got their $5 million. That's the role of the Solicitor General, to make sure we have that level of policing for every community in British Columbia.
ਸੋ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਮੇਨ ਗੱਲ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਪਰ ਫੰਡਿੰਗ ਹੈ, ਰਿਸੋਰਸਿਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਿਨਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦੇ ਇਹ। ਸੋ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਵੈਨਕੂਵਰ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਡਿਪਾਰਟਮੈਂਟ VPD ਦੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ 5 ਮਿਲੀਅਨ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਫੰਡਿੰਗ ਕਟਿੰਗ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕੀਤੀ, ਐਂਡ ਦੈਨ ਦੇ ਅਪਰੋਚ ਐਂਡ ਗੋਨ ਬੈਕ ਐਂਡ ਦ ਮਨੀ ਵਾਜ਼ ਰਿਸਟੋਰਡ। ਤੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਸਰਵਿਸ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਔਨ ਅ ਸਾਈਡ ਪੁਆਇੰਟ, what do you think of Chief Steve Ryan of Vancouver Police Department?
I've got a lot of respect for Steve. I think he's doing an incredible job. Steve used to work for me.
Yeah.
When I was the inspector of Southeast Vancouver, he was one of my sergeants. And we stay in contact a fair amount. We do talk a bit. He runs things by me. I give him my advice on things. I think he's doing an incredible job. And he's got a lot of issues. Look at all those issues. Yeah. Look at, some of, he's now as FIFA, he's got all of the disorder issues. He's got a municipal election coming up where he doesn't know, but he's sticking to what he's required to do as a leader.
ਸੋ ਮੈਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਈਡ ਪੁਆਇੰਟ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਸੀ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਆਪਣੇ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਚੀਫ ਜਿਹੜੇ VPD ਵੈਨਕੂਵਰ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਡਿਪਾਰਟਮੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਸਟੀਵ ਰਾਏ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਾਊਥ ਏਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਡਿਸੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਆ। ਸੋ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆਈ ਨੋ ਹਿਮ ਰੀਲੀ ਵੈਲ। ਆਪਣੇ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਹੀਟ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੈ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਇਕੱਠੇ, ਇਜ਼ ਵੈਰੀ ਨਾਈਸ ਗਾਏ, ਡੂਇੰਗ ਅ ਗ੍ਰੇਟ ਜੌਬ ਐਂਡ ਹੀ ਵਿਲ ਡੂ ਅ ਗ੍ਰੇਟ ਜੌਬ ਅਕੋਰਡਿੰਗ ਟੂ ਹਿਮ। ਸੋ ਐਨੀਵੇਜ਼, ਇਨ your city, Mr. Heat, you are in Richmond, so that's run by RCMP, is it?
That is run by RCMP, but the nice thing about that, the officer in charge is Dave Chauhan. He's South Asian.
Oh wow, Dave Chauhan?
Dave Chauhan. He's we talk often, and he is incredible. I always joke with him and I say, Dave, I think you have a blue uniform under your brown uniform, joking RCMP city. So he is really, really good. So I wouldn't judge the RCMP because there are certain characters within the RCMP that I have very little time and respect for. Dave Chauhan, I have a lot of respect for him because he would be an anomaly at that level as a chief superintendent in the RCMP because he's doing what's right. He's doing what's right for the communities in Richmond. And Richmond is a very cosmopolitan area. And so you can see that having him there has really benefited it. And even when you talk to the young officers out there, they just appreciate his leadership.
So ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਰਿਚਮੰਡ ਦਾ RCMP ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹ ਰਨ ਕਰਦੀ ਹੈ, but that was news to me that the chief there for RCMP is again South Asian guy, Dave Chauhan, and Mr. Heath knows him really well. They talk with each other all the time, so he's doing a great job. And all the police officers, it's very important for morale that the young police officers coming and the team have to work together as a team to be successful.
Absolutely. They're your quality control. Yeah. You can't be there at every single call, so you're expecting them to do the right thing. So, if you create that leadership, they will do the right thing when you're not looking.
Yeah. And how's the crime in Richmond? Is it relatively...
Crime is relatively
low?
Low,
sort of similar?
But there are issues that people complain about. And, property crime is an issue. Shoplifting is really affecting a lot of businesses. We do get violent crime. We do get some shootings in Richmond, some of the most prolific shootings we've had in Richmond related to the gang violence. So it is there. But here's what I want to do. I want to create, as you know, I'm running for mayor, and part of that is to create a protective service. So it's kind of like a tiered level of protective services in Richmond. One where you have the RCMP that are there to respond to emergency situations. They're fully equipped, they're armed and all that. When we need them, they need to come there. So when we phone 911 and we need that. But you've got another level you have to address. And that's the lower level where the police, if they're tied up in a more important call, they can't make it, they can't do traffic enforcement, they can't deal with a lower level complaint or anything like that. And people get frustrated because that's the majority of the calls in Richmond. Yeah. So what I want to do is create a level of municipal services or bylaws officers that have the special municipal constable status, where they'll be able to do the traffic enforcement, where they'll be able to do some of the lower level calls. So if you phone and you've got a situation, you've got some type of immediate response. They won't be trained with firearms, but they'll be trained with fourth options. They'll be given an extended training, such as what we call the first level of training for police officers. So they'll be able to address all of those things. So if we're able to do that, we're dealing with one thing. We're dealing with the perception of crime, and we're lowering that. We're dealing with a better service. So if you phone and need help, that service is there for you. So you're creating what I would call a more satisfied community on your protective services response. And at the same time, you're dealing with some of the issues that affect the majority of the population in Richmond.
So Master Heed nu puchha ji main kaha vi Richmond di ki situation hegi hai. So they said, well, it's a lower crime rate, relatively speaking, to lower mainland, but ਉੱਥੇ ਵੀ crime ਹੈਗੇ, petty crimes ਬਹੁਤ ਹੈਗੇ, ਜਿਹੜੀ shoplifting ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਛੋਟੇ ਮੋਟੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ crime ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, ਉਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, and there are some serious crimes too, gangland, shootings and stuff. So ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੈ, and again, this is maybe news to a lot of people, to our listeners, South Asian community, that Mr. Kash Heed is running for a mayor of Richmond. So ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਕਿ ਜੇ ਮੈਂ mayor ਬਣਿਆ, so I will have a different idea of running the safety part of the public safety part. ਉਹ the protective services ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ services ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ, ਉੱਥੇ ਕਿਹੜੀ force ਲਾਉਣੀ ਹੈ, the main people deployed there, and then ਜਿਹੜੀ ਛੋਟੇ ਮੋਟੇ crime ਹੈ, parking problems ਹੈ, this and that ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, ਉਹਦੇ ਲਈ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬਾਈ ਲਾ ਆਫੀਸਰਸ ਹੈ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇੰਨੀ ਕੁ ਟ੍ਰੇਨਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਕੇ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਦੇ ਕੈਨ ਡੀਲ ਵਿਦ ਪੈਟੀ ਛੋਟੇ ਮੋਟੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮ ਹੈ, ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮੇਨ ਫੋਰਸ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਫੋਕਸ ਕਰ ਸਕੇ ਬਿਗਰ ਕ੍ਰਾਈਮਸ, ਰਾਈਟ?
Yes, and this is again one particular reason. The other one I want to just touch on is technology, and so I brought together as a councillor motions for the egress and ingress points, the entrance and exit points of Richmond, that we have high definition cameras, okay? The ones that can not only pick up the vehicle, the license plate, but also the people in the vehicles. Now, people get upset, oh, is Big Brother watching? No. These cameras at whether it's the Oak Street Bridge or Dees Tunnel or something like that where they're set up, if, for example, there's a serious crime in Richmond, like an abduction, like a gangland shooting or whatever that we have, is we know that the police can go to these cameras on a certain time, certain date, and get the footage. And they have to go in front of the courts and get what we call a production order, where a judge will allow them to look at the video during this period of time. And it is great. The police want it, everyone wants it, except a few people that are saying, oh no, that's Big Brother watching us. But I'm saying, no, it's not, including the privacy commissioner in the province appointed by the NDP government. And he's fighting us on this, and we're saying, look, we're not monitoring it. We're not doing anything with it. The only way police can get it is after a serious crime has been committed and they go in front of a judge and ask for that little snippet of the video so they can review it. That's it. It makes total sense.
Perfect sense.
The majority of people in Richmond want it, but there's other people that are saying no, including the privacy commissioner. So we're arguing that in court, saying no, this is what we need. And David Eby has to step up on the plate and says, this is absolutely what we should be protecting our communities with. The other thing is I want to look at drone technology. So the police can utilize the drone. If there's a serious incident, they can have someone that's trained on the drone. They can put the drone up right away. The drone can get across Richmond faster than a police car driving with the lights and sirens on. So those are the technology. We've got to use it where it's going to benefit us and benefit the people in Richmond to create that safer community.
So ਦੂਜਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ another initiative he will take and having a problem is having a high definition cameras ਕਿਉਂਕਿ technology ਇੰਨੀ advanced ਹੋ ਗਈ ਹੈ and even he mentioned drones can be used because by the time the police car reaches, the drone can reach there in the air very quickly and they're becoming very sophisticated. As you know, now the fight and the war is with Iran and with Russia and Ukraine is, you know, they are fighting with the drones. They become so sophisticated. So ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ sophisticated technology ਹੈ ਉਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ high definition ਕੈਮਰੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਉਹ ਤੇ ਸਾਰੀ recording ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ and then he knows the legal jargon that, you know, when presented in the judge, so they can allow them to see that evidence so they can put behind the bars the criminals. And coming back to that, Mr. Heath, because, you know, if you look at some of the European countries and where is it very safe, like Dubai, those kind of countries, like you rarely see a police guy on the road, but they have such a high definition cameras all over the place. And I heard from the people, I don't have a first-hand information, I've been there. Before you get to your home, your ticket is already arrived. Think about that.
Yeah.
And this AI environment we living in, artificial intelligence, I don't know, not Richmond only, it should be all over British Columbia and lower mainland, especially in Surrey, because when I talked to Chief Lipinski one time, they had a press conference with the Punjabi Press Club, he mentioned that. But they only high traffic area, they wanted those cameras to be, but they again needed resources.
Well, they do, and they also need a provincial government that's going to provide it.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the way we have policing under the Constitution Act in Canada, that's given to the provincial government to look after and deal with. And they delegate that back to municipalities through the BC Police Act. So the province has to take a key role here in making sure that we have the technology, the modern day technology, to assist police and assist the community in creating that safe environment. And, you know, David Eby has to get on board here, or we're not going to see any change here in the province of British Columbia. So the chief of police, and they should be banging their fists on the table and saying, this is what we need. They should be getting out to the community and say, look, everyone, this is what we need, and this is the reason why we need it. And you know what? The community can make the decision and put pressure on these politicians, or the next time we go to an election, bring someone in that's going to do it.
So ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਵੇਸੀ ਕਮਿਸ਼ਨਰ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਲਾ ਲਓ, ਉਹ ਇਸ 'ਚ ਟੰਗ ਅੜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਕੈਮਰਾਸ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ using as a private, pretty getting upset about the policies and issues. ਜਦੋਂ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ polling ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦਾ, ਪਰ you know, we will see, you know, what comes out of that. But public ਦਾ ਇਹ ਰੋਲ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ keep on doing that and letting them know what is important. What do you think, talking about politicians, because you're a politician now, what do you think of the Conservative leader, Carolyn Finlay?
I'm surprised. How about I just leave it at that? I'm surprised. But I'll make a prediction that there's going to be a third party created.
Yes.
A third party that's going to have, you know, a lot.
Maybe Liberals come back.
Maybe I was a BC Liberal, you know, and I can tell you, you need that center right. You see, we have extreme left with David Eby. Okay, we have extreme right with the Conservative Party leader right now. Yeah. Even the people that are surrounding her. That's problematic for British Columbia. And I think that's going to be problematic for a lot of people going forward. So we need change in this province. We absolutely need change. But we need pragmatic change. We don't need extreme end changes. So that's why I think there's a real void in that center right.
Yeah. So ਆਪਣੇ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਹੀਡ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੀਸੀ ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਦੇ ਹੁਣ ਲੀਡਰ ਚੁਣੇ ਗਏ ਕੈਰੀਲਨ ਫਿਨਲੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੀ ਸਰਪ੍ਰਾਈਜ਼ਡ everybody surprised. I surprised too. She won on the fourth ballot. And ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਵੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ prediction ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸੋਚ ਹੈ, it might be a third party will come back, maybe BC Liberals and used to call it United because he was a member of BC Liberal Party, because ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ center right party ਹੈ ਉਹਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ, because according to Mr. Heed, and I agree with that, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ NDP ਉਹ extreme left ਹੈ, and then BC Conservative, and especially with Carrie Lynn now, will be extreme right wing. So most people are middle of the road people. So center right ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਉਸ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਹੋਣੀ ਹੈ, ਦੇਖਣ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲੂਗਾ ਕਿ ਹੁਣ ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ, what happens. That's what he thinks too. Unfortunately, a couple of police officers are killed in Ontario. It's so sad to hear that. What is going on?
Well, we know policing is
on the line of duty.
It's very sad. They go out there each and every day and night, and they expect to go home to their families, and they should go home to their families each and every night. But the unfortunate Ontario provincial police officer that was run down by someone that was trying to get away, that had significant mental health issues. How sad is that? And then the recent Toronto police officer that was shot. I don't know much of the information with respect to that, but again, they're out there. We try and train them the best we can, equip them the best we can, and hopefully.
Well, one was 18 years in the service, another one is only 2.5 years. But so you're right. It's unfortunate and on the line of duty, because they try to do the best job to their abilities. But our thoughts and prayers with them and their families and all the public. So we have 4 or 5 minutes left. I have 2 questions. First, you're running as a mayor, and what is the landscape? Are people, the other mayoral candidate, are they running in a full slates? Are you running a slate? Or are you running as an independent?
Okay, so we wanted to show that I am different. We wanted to show that we want sensible change in Richmond. We want to give people hope in Richmond, and we want to have a purpose. So intentionally, and you know very well that I've never embraced the status quo. So what we did right at the outset was separate me from the people that are running as status quo. I'm in there to change. And that's resonating in the people's minds in Richmond because they want change. When you've had a mayor that's been on council for 30 years and 25 of those years as mayor, you can see from some of the issues that I've managed to raise, whether it's the exorbitant amount of money on gift cards, or some CEO of the Richmond Olympic Oval, a former CAO, making well over $400,000 for not doing much. All of those things, and even Brody, his double, triple, and quadruple dipping, which doubled his salary. Like, this is taxpayer money we're talking about. So yeah, I exposed all that. Yes, I've exposed that there's going to be sensible change coming to Richmond. Yes, we need to get people building in Richmond, businesses staying in Richmond, athletic facilities in Richmond. We need all of that. We need everyone in Richmond to thrive. So what we did is we formed that at all when I was in Victoria. So we're looking at that as being different here.
Yeah. So ਮੈਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਸੀ, ਮੇਅਰ ਐਜ਼ ਏ ਰਨ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ, ਐਜ਼ ਏ ਟੀਮ ਰਨ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ. ਸੋ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਹੀਡ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੀ ਇਜ਼ ਰਨਿੰਗ ਐਜ਼ ਏ ਇੰਡੀਪੈਂਡੈਂਟ, ਪਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲਾਈਕ ਮਾਈਂਡਡ ਪੀਪਲ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸੇਮ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਫਾਈਟ ਕਰਨਾ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਕੋਲੀਸ਼ਨ ਕਹਿ ਲਓ ਜਾਂ ਅੰਡਰਸਟੈਂਡਿੰਗ ਕਹਿ ਲਓ, ਉਸ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ, ਬਟ ਹੀ ਇਜ਼ ਰਨਿੰਗ ਐਜ਼ ਏ ਇੰਡੀਪੈਂਡੈਂਟ ਮੈਂਡੇਟ as a mayor. So ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਕਿ he want to run a different kind of campaign and different kind of leadership that have a hope and purpose, and ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਲੋਕ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ a lot of touchy issues he talk about, Mayor Brody, ਉਹ ਮਤਲਬ 32 ਸਾਲ ਹੋ ਗਏ 30 ਸਾਲ ਹੋ ਗਏ 25 ਸਾਲ ਐਜ਼ ਏ ਮੇਅਰ ਸੋ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਕੈਂਡਲ ਹੋਏ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕ੍ਰੈਡਿਟ ਕਾਰਡ ਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਆ so these kind of oversight and that need to be stopped and he want to run a new government as a clean government because accountability is the most important. We have a couple of minutes left. Mr. Heed, would you like to say at the end from public safety to a politician and running as a mayor, what is your final statement to our listeners and the people who are supporting you as a mayor? So
well, let me tell you, my mother raised the 4 of us children on her own, and we've talked about that previously on your show.
Yeah.
In Richmond. I've been in Richmond for 60 years. I've gone through a lot of controversy. I've gone through racism. I still go through racism in Richmond from some of the populations out there. That are, I went through all of my 32 years in policing.
Yes.
Never had any
and we talked about it in
real
great detail.
Threats or anything. And all of a sudden I get into politics as a counselor in Richmond. And, people are telling me, go back to where you came from, facing the racism. I hope you and your daughter become drug addicts and die. People like you are servants. So, I faced all of that. So although I'm a little calloused on it, it still eats up. It will eat up everyone.
Yes.
But I faced that all of my life. And I just am not finished making the changes so we as a community can be very, very proud of who we are, how we built BC, how we contribute so much to BC, how we are really a staple of British Columbia, and we need to be very, very proud. So I want to keep that going so the young people, the people behind us in our community can have something to look forward to.
So ਮੈਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਸੀ ਐਂਡ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਚਾਹੋਗੇ and very nicely said that because over the years ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੰਟਰੋਵਰਸੀਜ਼ ਹੀ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਰੇਸਿਜ਼ਮ ਵੀ ਫੇਸ ਕੀਤਾ ਆ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾਓ ਵਾਪਸ ਜਿੱਥੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਏ ਹੈ the extreme comments like I wish that you and your daughter will be drug addicts matlab ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ statement it's hard, it's emotionally very hard to take those kind of things, but when you're serving the community, you being a police officer, still you're a human being end of the day, but you still want to do a good job. So thank you, Mr. Heed, coming on my show, greatly appreciate that, and good luck in your bid for a mayorship.
Always a pleasure, and I hope to come back very soon.
Thank you very much. So ਸਾਡੀ ਗੱਲ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਸੀਗੀ Mr. Kash Heed, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ right now sitting consular, Solicitor General ਵੀ ਰਹੇ ਆ, Police Chief ਵੀ ਰਹੇ ਆ, so serving the community one way or the other. Now he running as a mayor, so we wish him a good luck, and ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹੀ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਰੋ Professor CJ Sidhu show every Thursday from 7 to 8 o'clock. ਆਪਦੀ feedback ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਦਿਆ ਕਰੋ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਇਸ show ਨੂੰ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਵਧੀਆ ਬਣਾ ਸਕੀਏ. Have a happy, healthy weekend. ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ, ਰੱਬ ਰੱਖ।